Every day at noon, Levi had to install mines along the cliffside to prevent unknown creatures from climbing up. He lived in a bunker suspended more than 10 meters in the air. Although there was a similar bunker opposite his, he had no contact with its occupant due to strict mission regulations, absolute confidentiality, and complete isolation for an entire year. After explaining the rules, JD hurriedly departed by plane, unaware that he was caught in a larger conspiracy. However, the real shock came when JD was shot and killed by his superior on the way back. Levi's daily tasks seemed simple. He had to check the integrity of the protective netting, ensure the heavy machine gun was stocked with ammunition, and confirm that the radar was functioning correctly. Each day, he would then report his findings to the central computer using a radio. One day, while scanning the horizon with binoculars, Levi noticed a hand in the bunker across from him. It belonged to a woman. She quickly spotted him as well. This fleeting moment of eye contact would alter both of their fates. The next day, the woman fired her gun at Levi's water cup, an act of provocation. Smirking, Levi responded by shooting and shattering her wine bottle. However, her expression suddenly changed to one of alarm. She frantically signaled for him to be cautious of something below. At that moment, dark shapes emerged from the valley, scaling the cliffs at an alarming speed. The two immediately worked together, unleashing gunfire on the approaching creatures. With their coordinated attacks, the threat was temporarily neutralized. But just as the woman exhaled in relief, a clawed humanoid monster lunged up the cliffside. She fired at it, only to realize an entire swarm was still climbing from below. Levi, thinking quickly, shot a monster that fell onto the cliff's explosive traps, triggering a blast. The explosion wounded the woman, but also wiped out a large portion of the attackers. Levi, determined to help, unleashed a relentless barrage of turret fire to cover her. The woman, named Drasa, quickly recovered and climbed onto her own turret. The two of them turned the valley into a storm of gunfire, burning through every magazine they had. When the creatures triggered the cliff's automated defenses, the turrets activated, mowing down the remaining threats. It wasn't until sunrise that the creatures finally retreated into the shadows below. That night, Levi noticed Drasa curled up on her balcony, shaken. He used a drawing board to communicate, attempting to comfort her. She responded by writing, "It would be nice if you were here with me now." This caught Levi off guard. Though he knew their mission prohibited any contact, he couldn't bear to leave her alone. Determined, Levi devised a daring plan. He dismantled a missile, extracted a sturdy cable, and tied it to a launchable projectile, fashioning a makeshift zipline. Drasa, initially confused, understood his intent when he raised a rocket launcher. With a precise shot, Levi secured the line to a sturdy tree on her side. Just as he prepared to cross, disaster struck. Midway across, the line snapped. No! He crashed through tree branches, barely surviving the fall. Before he could recover, the tree oozed a strange mucus, trapping him as razor-sharp fangs emerged from the bark, preparing to consume him. At the last second, gunshots rang out. Drasa had arrived in time to save him. She shot the tree's appendages, then used a knife to cut him free. However, their ordeal was just beginning. The canyon's eerie fog concealed unknown horrors. As they navigated through, a shadowy figure suddenly attacked, knocking Levi down while a monstrous rider pushed Drasa to the ground. In the ensuing struggle, they realized their attackers were not mere creatures. They were remnants of a lost battalion from the 1940s, cursed to wander the Gorge. Terrified by this revelation, Levi and Drasa knew they had to escape immediately. While searching for an exit, they discovered something even more disturbing: a hidden atomic bomb buried in the valley. Its activation key was linked to an old radar station. Before they could act, Drasa noticed her backpack was missing, a calculated move by their enemies. They deployed smoke grenades as cover and rushed back to their bunkers. Upon exiting, they found Drasa's bag, but when she reached for it, a hidden snare yanked her into the air. Levi chased after her, but she was defenseless. Her gun was empty. Before she could react, she was slammed against a tree and lost consciousness. Instead of killing her, the tree-like creatures strung her up. When she awoke, she fought desperately. Grabbing a nearby torch and setting the creature ablaze. Levi arrived just in time, gunning down more threats before commandeering a vehicle. The two sped toward the valley's edge, aiming to use a zipline to escape. As they climbed, Drasa glanced back in horror. Hundreds of creatures were scaling the ropes behind them. Thinking fast, Levi pierced the gas tank of their stolen car and tossed an incendiary grenade, igniting an inferno that engulfed the pursuing creatures. The explosion, however, sent Levi tumbling. With no other choice, they climbed the rest of the way with their bare hands. Though exhausted, they made it back to the top. Their mission wasn't over. To prevent further disasters, Levi and Drasa planned to detonate the atomic bomb the next day. Just then, they heard an approaching aircraft. Realizing something was amiss, Levi shouted for Drasa to run. A helicopter landed at their outpost, and the superior officer, seeing it abandoned, immediately deployed drones to hunt them down. Levi took cover, set up his sniper rifle, and took out several of the drones, while Drasa shot down 2 more. Together, they targeted the radar station. The explosion triggered the canyon self-destruct sequence. They had only 2 minutes to escape. The atomic bomb detonated, obliterating everything. The shockwave flung Levi into the river below. 5 days later, Drasa waited on a secluded island, the meeting place they had agreed upon. She had not succumbed to the shadowy infection, meaning she was safe. But she waited for hours, and Levi never appeared.